Come gather close, come feel the flame. Lesley George, remember the name. Island soul with a fearless spark. Truth speaks here and it leaves its mark. No dimming down, no playing small. Stepping strong and stand up tall. You walking bold, you move with grace. Mosaic Sparks, come take your place. This is where brilliance learns to speak.
Welcome back, sparklers, and welcome to Mosaic Sparks with me, Lesley George. Let me tell you something that will mess with your business brain for a minute. Before a vision becomes something people recognize, remember, talk, share, wear, buy into it, and build around it. It usually starts small. Sometimes it can start with a sentence, a book idea, a podcast. What about a personal story that you were scared to tell? Or it may have started as something you kept saying over and over until people started repeating it back to you. Or it can start as little as a spark that does not look like much to anyone else. That is the part most people miss. They see the finished product, the platform you may be on, the movement, the brand. They see the room filled with people, the product on the table, the book in somebody's hand. What about the event photos on social media? What about the community that's growing? They see the testimony after the work has already gone through pressure, strategy, and stretching. But what they do not always see is the beginning. They don't see the rough draft, the unsure voice, the first conversation. What about that first product that didn't get launched well? What about saying, I think this could be something? Or, I know this is bigger than me, but I don't know what to do with it yet. So for any of you that are listening and any of these things resonate, today I want to talk about how vision becomes legacy. Not just how vision becomes popular, but how vision, and not just how vision becomes cute, not how vision becomes a nice idea and gets, a little attention, then disappears. You know, like a church fan in somebody's trunk after a homecoming Sunday. I'm talking about that legacy that lives way beyond you. The kind of work that keeps speaking after you leave the room. The kind of message that keeps helping people after the event is over. The kind of brand that people do not only remember, they feel connected to. And what about that type of movement that gives people language for something they have been carrying? That is what we're talking about today. And I want to use a story that may surprise you. It is the story of Walt Disney and Kay Kamen. Now, stay with me a little bit because this is not a cartoon conversation. It's more of a leadership, a brand, a strategy conversation. And this is what you're doing with the thing God placed in your hands conversation. So let's talk about Walt Disney. Walt Disney, as we know, had great imagination. He was creative. He had vision. He created characters and stories that made people feel something. But there was another man named Kay Kamen who helped expand that vision in such a powerful way. Kay Kamen was a businessman and a merchandising expert who helped Disney take beloved characters beyond the screen and into people's everyday lives. He helped Disney understand that the character did not only have to live in a film. The character could live on a toy. What about a book? a lunchbox, in a song, in a child's room, and in a family's home. And that's really the whole lesson right there. Because many of us have a lesson, but many of us have a message, but we have not built a way for the message to travel. We have a gift, but we have not given that gift structure. What about a story? But we have not shaped it into something that can serve people. Many of us have a vision, but we have not expanded it into legacy. So today, sparklers, I want to pull out 3 lessons from this story that can apply to your own lives, your businesses, your book, that podcast, your ministry, and even your community. So here are the 3 lessons. Vision needs expansion. Collaboration gives vision more legs. And your message needs a container. So let's talk about it. So I said vision needs expansion. Walt Disney had a character, but that character did not stay in one place. That is where the lesson begins. Vision needs expansion. A lot of people have powerful ideas, but they keep those ideas locked inside maybe one format. They say, I wrote a book. Oh, okay, that's good. But what else can that book become? Somebody may say, I have a podcast, and that's absolutely wonderful. But how does that podcast become a community, a workshop, a live event, a workbook, a conversation that keeps moving? Or what about the person that says, I have a message, which is absolutely beautiful. But where does that message live after people hear it? What about a testimony that can be absolutely powerful? But have you shaped that testimony into a teaching tool? What about a keynote or a movement that helps somebody else get free? Vision needs somewhere to go. A vision that stays in one place can become familiar, but a vision that expands can become legendary. Now, let me say that again because somebody needs to write that down. A vision that stays in one place can become familiar, but a vision that expands can become legendary. Familiarity means people know you said something good. Legacy means what you said continues to work in their lives. Familiar means they clap when they heard it. Legacy means they used it when life got loud. This is the different level of impact. So Kay Kamen helped Disney expand merchandising. He was not simply putting images on products. He was helping create access. The audience did not have to wait for the next film to stay connected to the feeling. They could bring the feeling home. They could hold it, use it, gift it. What about collect it and pass it down? And that is what expansion does. It gives people more access to the meaning of the vision. Now, bring that back to your life. What part of your vision needs more access? Maybe people love your podcast, but you have not created a way for them to go deeper. Maybe people enjoy your speaking, but you have a simple product or offer that helps them continue the work. What about people say, you always say the thing I need to hear, but you have not turned your sayings into a journal? What about a card deck, a devotional, or maybe a weekly community conversation? Maybe you have a book inside of you, but you keep treating it like a someday project. And I love this idea about a book inside of us because that's what I help women birth. I've helped over 50 authors become first time best-selling authors by just having the courage to say yes and coming alongside me and my team to help them. So I'm going to say this with love, right? Because someday is not a strategy. Someday is where too many visions go to take a very, very long nap. I've met women all over the world. I've even met a woman that have written manuscripts from 1998, but she does not have the courage to publish those. And that's really robbing someone else from those stories. She's an amazing writer, but she is still with that someday strategy, right? So you do not need to do everything at once. So you don't need to be writing for years. You do need to ask the better question. The question is not, how can I do more? The question is, where does this vision naturally want to go? Those are two different things. Some visions need to grow into a book or grow into a signature talk, a community, a product. What about a movement? Your vision may not need to be replaced. It may need to be released into more rooms. And that's lesson number 1, where vision needs expansion. Now, lesson number 2, where collaboration gives vision more legs. Let's move to lesson 2, where collaboration gives vision more legs. Walt Disney was the creative force. We all know that. He has left us for decades. And his vision, his creativity is around the world. But Kay Kamen brought a merchandising strategy. So one had the imagination, one helped build a pathway. That is what you call true collaboration. And this is where a lot of gifted people get stuck, because gifted people often know how to start. They may know how to create, dream, speak, serve. They know how to make something out of almost nothing. But give a gifted woman a notebook, a prayer, a hot cup of coffee, and 2 hours of quiet, and she might mess around and build a whole program before lunch. That is a gift. But expansion usually requires more than a gift. Expansion requires systems, requires structure and support. Expansion requires somebody who can see what you cannot see because you are too close to it. Now, don't get me wrong, that's not a weakness. That is what we call wisdom. Some of us has been calling ourselves independent when we're actually overloaded. We've been calling it excellence when we're really exhausted, when we're really exhaustion wearing a blazer. And some may say, I just like things done right, or I may like things done my way. Now, that may be the truth, but it may also be true that you have trained yourself to carry too much because at some point in your life, you had to. So let's tell the truth and, as they say, shame the devil. Now, some women are not control freaks. They're women who learn that if they didn't handle it, it didn't get handled. And I can understand that. They became the planner, the fixer, the checker, the reminder, the one who keeps the receipts, the one who knows where the files are, the one who remembers what everybody else forgot, the one who make a miracle happen with a low budget and a folding table. Now, that skill got them to where they are. But that same skill can wear them out if they never build support around that vision. And that's where Kay Kamen comes in for Walt Disney because Kay Kamen did not take away from Walt Disney's creativity. He just simply extended it. And that part matters because the right collaboration does not steal your vision. The right collaboration helps it move. It brings a skill that you don't have. And you don't need to have every skill because the right collaboration also asks questions that sharpen the work and helps you turn a good idea into something people can experience. Because the right collaboration helps you see the business side, the audience side, the product, the community side, and the process side. Now, this is truly the leadership lesson because you can't build legacy with one person in a relay race. At some point, you have to know when to pass the baton, share the lane, and trust the right people to help carry the work. That doesn't mean you hand your vision to everyone. Please don't hear what I did not say. Everybody is not assigned to your next level. Some people may want access without an alignment, but some people want to be close to the idea, but they do not respect the weight of it. And so, with your discernment, that's why discernment matters. You can discern the people that want to come into your space. Because collaboration doesn't mean you collect people. Collaborations mean you connect with the right people for the right assignment at the right time. So ask yourself, who has a skill that my vision needs next? Do you need a designer, an editor, an assistant, a strategist? What about a coach? What about someone who understands sales or operations? Now, I want you to be honest because those questions will take your big idea and help put it into clear steps. Now, some of us can see the whole mountain, but we still trip over the first 3 steps. And that's why collaboration matters. It brings the vision down to earth. It helps people touch it, understand exactly what you're doing, why you're doing it. Help people use it because if you have something that no one uses, how effective is that? How about someone pay for it, share it, and even grow with it? Because collaboration doesn't mean your vision, because doesn't mean it makes your vision less yours. It just simply gives your vision more legs. Now, lesson number 3. Your lesson needs a container. This is the one I really want you to sit with because a lot of people are creating content, but they're not creating containers. Content gives people something to hear. A container gives people somewhere to go. Now, content can inspire. A container can guide. Content can make people nod, shake their head. The container can help them take action. Content can get attention, but a container can build transformation. And at some point in time, us as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as we may launch different things, we can sometimes even lose sight of that. But that's why this lesson is so important to remind us that as we are building, we want to bring people along. And that's why containers are so important. That's why merchandising and products, books, journals, communities, all of that matters. And this really gives your message shape. Now, when people hear the word merchandising, they usually think of slapping on a logo on a shirt. That's not what I'm talking about. A shirt with a logo is not an automatic strategy. Sometimes it's just laundry with ambition. Real merchandising carries meaning. It helps people remember who they are because real merchandising gives the audience a way to stay connected to your message. A journal can become a place where someone processes whatever that lesson is. What about a workbook can become a tool that helps someone apply whatever you were teaching them? A card deck can become a daily reminder. A community can become a room where people stay accountable. And what about a retreat can become a reset? A product box can become an experience. And all of those are containers. The container allows the message to travel further than your voice can go in one sitting. So think about your own life. You've heard messages that move you in the moment, but you forgot them because there was no way to continue. You got inspired at an event over the weekend. Then Monday came in acting like it had no home training. The laundry was there. You had emails to answer, the job, the bills, the people who know how to find your last nerves. They were loud, and suddenly the message from over the weekend started fading away because there was no container to keep you practicing it. That is why your work needs structure. People don't only need inspiration, they need something to return to. They need something that helps them remember, helps them practice, helps they they need something that helps them say, this is how I am becoming. That is where legacy is built. Legacy is not only what people admire about you. Legacy is what people can use because of you. Legacy is not only what people admire about you. Legacy is what people can use because of you. And that is the difference between having a platform and having an impact. A platform gives you visibility. We hear that all the time. Impact gives people value. Legacy gives people something they can carry. So, what container does your message needs? So, if you are an author, maybe your book needs a journal. What about a workshop, a reading circle, or a companion guide? If you're a speaker, maybe your keynote needs a workbook, an assessment, a follow up session, or a downloadable action plan. What about if you are a podcaster? Maybe your episode needs a weekly challenge, a community discussion, a resource, or a newsletter. If you're a coach, maybe your method needs a framework, a curriculum, or a group program. Because this is where the vision becomes practical. And this is where you unbox your brilliance because becomes more than a beautiful phrase. It becomes a call to action because your brilliance was not given to you so it could sit in a metal storage unit collecting dust. Your brilliance need to be open, developed, protected, polished, and used. And yes, sometimes sold. So let's not act stranger about let's not act strange about that part. If your work solves a problem, help people grow, saves them time, gives them clarity, strengthens their voice, helps them lead, or helps them move, then your work has value. We have to stop acting like purpose and pricing cannot sit at the same table. They definitely can, and they should. Purpose without structure can become burnout because structure without purpose is just noise. When purpose and structure work together, the message can move with power, and that is why your message needs a container. So let's bring these three lessons together. Lesson one, we talked about vision needs expansion. Your idea may be bigger than the place where it started. Lesson two, Collaboration gives vision more legs. The right people can help your gift go further without taking away from who you are. And the last lesson, your message needs a container. A message needs somewhere to live after people hear it. That is how vision becomes legacy. It expands, it partners, it moves, it serves, and it stays useful. And let me say this to the woman listening who knows she has been sitting on something. You already know. You may not have told anybody, but you know there's a book in you. There's a message in you. What about that business idea? What about a workshop? The community you're supposed to gather? You know there's something about your story that could help another woman breathe a little easier and stand a little taller. The issue is not always that you do not know. Sometimes the issue is that you keep waiting for the perfect version of yourself to start. You want to be more organized. What about the more healed version, the more confident version? You want to have a better website. You want to get better headshots. But guess what, baby? That version may be in the witness protection program. Start with what you have. Start with the message, the lesson. Start with the one thing people keep coming to you for. Start with the story that keeps tapping on your shoulder. Start with the phrase people keep repeating back to you. That is where movement starts. You don't build legacy by hiding the vision. Walt did not build a legacy by not listening to Kay Kamen. You build legacy by giving the vision language, structure, support, and a way to travel. That is the work, the responsibility, and also the gift. Now, when I talk about brag, I'm talking about believing you are responsible for amplifying God's greatness in you. That is the acronym of the brag. That means you don't shrink your gift to make other people comfortable. You don't bury the message because you are afraid of being seen. You don't treat your story like it's ordinary when it has survived things other people are still trying to name. And you don't keep waiting for permission from people who have not even managed their own assignment. You move with wisdom, strategy, faith, and courage. You take the vision and ask, how can this serve beyond me? That's the legacy question. Legacy asks, who needs this? How can this help them? Now, not 5 years from now, not when everything is perfect, now. Because somebody connected to your assignment is waiting on you to stop treating your vision like a hobby. What if when Kay Kamen came to Walt Disney, he said, no, I'm not ready yet. Kay Kamen and Walt Disney pretty much revolutionized the merchandising industry. All Walt had was Mickey Mouse at the time. This was in the early 1900s. And they slapped Mickey Mouse on everything from a watch to whatever it is that was available for the partnerships and the collaborations. So you need to do that now. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to rush. I respect the weight of what you're carrying. You need a plan. You need to give it attention. You need a container. You give it a container and you give it movement. And that is how vision becomes legacy. Now, here's your challenge for the week. I don't want you to do 20, 38 million things. You're not doing confusion with a checklist today. I want you to choose one message, one idea, a phrase, a story, a podcast episode, or one workshop theme that you already have. Just one. Then ask yourself this question: how can this live beyond the moment? Can it become a journal prompt, a worksheet, a community conversation, a product, a signature framework? Just pick one. Write it down. Get yourself a journal. Write it down. Then write one simple next step, not a whole dissertation. One next step. Maybe the next step is giving it a name or an outline. What about recording that episode, creating the worksheet? What about asking for help? I'm going to repeat that one again. What about asking for help? Asking someone that is in that industry or field that you're looking to start or you need help with. Asking someone for help for your next step. Because maybe the next step is finally saying it out loud. That one step matters because vision becomes legacy through movement, not mental gymnastics, not imaginary movement. Not I talked about it with my cousin, my mom, and they said it was nice. None of that. It needs real movement, action structure, and most of all, follow through. And that is how the spark becomes something people can see. So in closing, sparklers, I'm so glad that you are listening to this episode. If this conversation gave you something to think about, please leave a review, share it with a friend who is carrying a vision that deserves more room to move. Somebody needs to hear that the thing that they've been sitting on may not need to be replaced. It may just simply need to be released. Until next time, keep showing up. Keep using your voice. Keep building the kind of work that keeps speaking after you leave the room. This is how you unbox your brilliance, and this is how you brag with purpose. And this is how vision becomes legacy. So until next time, see you on Mosaic Sparks with me, Lesley George, and have an amazing week.
Mm-hmm.